Hey, I want to give you a new job. Your job is you're in charge of celebrations. You know, we can live an ordinary life or an extraordinary life, and we don't have to wait for someone to tell us it's a holiday to celebrate. I have a little 4-year-old girl, and I gave her this task, and she loves it. So now we kind of make everything into a ritual and everything into a celebration, and you can too. It makes your life more magical, and it makes you be appreciative of all that you have, and also that there is joy in everything and a blessing in everything. So the book that I want to read to you is called I'm in Charge of Celebrations. Hopefully this will give you some ideas and it'll activate you to see all of your blessings. I'm in Charge of Celebrations by Bird Baylor. Sometimes people ask me, aren't you lonely out there with just the desert around you? I guess they mean the bare grass and the yuccas and the cactus and the rocks. I guess they mean the deep ravines and the hawk nests and the cliffs and the coyote trails that wind across the hills. Lonely? I can't help laughing when they ask me that. I always look at them, surprised. And I say, how could I be lonely? I'm the one in charge of celebrations. Sometimes they don't believe me, but it's true. I am. I put myself in charge. I choose my own. Last year, I gave myself 108 celebrations, besides the one that they chose school for. I cannot get by with only a few. Friend, I'll tell you how it works. I keep a notebook and I write the date and then I write about the celebration. I'm very choosy over what goes in that book. It has to be something I plan to remember the rest of my life. I can tell what's worth a celebration because your heart will pound and you'll feel like you're standing on top of a mountain and you'll catch your breath like you were breathing some new kind of air. Otherwise, I count it just an average day. I told you I was very choosy. Friend, I wish you'd been there for Dust Devil Day, but since you weren't, I'll tell you how it got to be my first real celebration. You can call them whirlwinds if you want to. Me, I think Dust Devil has a better sound. Well, anyway, I always stop to watch them. Here, everyone does. You know how you come from far away, moving up from the flats, swirling and swaying and falling and turning, picking up sticks and sand and feathers and dry tumbleweeds? Well, last March 11th, we were all going somewhere. I was in the back of a pickup truck when the Dust Devils started together. You could see they were giants. You'd swear they were calling their friends to come too. And they came, dancing, in time to their own windy music. We all started counting. We all started looking for more. They stopped that truck and we turned around and around, watching them all. There were 7. At a time like that, something goes kind of crazy in you. You have to run to meet them, yelling all the way. You have to whirl around like you were one of them, and you can't stop until you're falling down. And then all day, you think how lucky you were to be there. Some of my best celebrations are sudden surprises like that. If you weren't outside at that exact moment, you'd miss them. I spend a lot of time outside myself, looking around. Once, I saw a triple rainbow that ended in a canyon where I'd been the day before. I was halfway up a hill, standing in a drizzle of rain. It was almost dark, but I wouldn't go in because of the rainbows, of course. And there at the top of the hill, a jackrabbit was standing up on his hind legs, perfectly still, looking straight at the same triple rainbow. I may be the only person in the world who'd seen a rabbit standing in the midst, quietly watching 3 rainbows. That's worth a celebration anytime. I wrote it down and drew the hill and the rabbit and the rainbow and me. Now, August 9th is Rainbow Celebration Day. And I was lucky on Coyote Day because out of all time, it had to be one moment only that a certain coyote and I could meet. And we did. Friend, you should have been there too. I was following deer tracks, taking my time, bending down as I walked, kind of humming. I hum a lot when I'm alone. I look up in time to see a young coyote trotting through the bush. She crossed in front of me. It was a windy day, and she was going east. In that easy, silent way coyotes move, she pushed into the wind. I stood there, hardly breathing, wishing I could move that way. I was surprised to see her stop and turn and look at me. She seemed to think that I was just another creature following another rocky trail. That's true, of course. I am. She didn't hurry. She wasn't afraid. I saw her eyes and she saw mine. That look held us together. Because of that, I never will feel quite the same again. So, on September 28th, I celebrate Coyote Day. Here's what I do. I walk the trail I walked that day, and I hummed softly as I go. Finally, I unwrapped the feast I bought for her. Last time, it was 3 apples and some pumpkin seeds and an ear of corn and some big, soft, homemade ginger cookies. The next day, I happened to pass that way again. Coyote tracks went all around the rocks where the food had been, and the food was gone. Next year, I'll make it even better. I'll bring an extra feast and eat there too. Another one of my greatest of all celebrations is called the Time of Falling Stars. It lasts almost a week in the middle of August, and I wait all year for those hot summer nights when the sun goes wild. You can call them meteor showers if you want to. Me, I like to say they're falling stars. All that week, I sleep outside. I give my full attention to the sky, and every time a streak of light goes shooting through the darkness, I feel my heart shoot out of me. One night, I saw a fireball that left a long red blazing trail across the sky. After it was gone, I stood there looking up, not quite believing what I'd seen. The strange thing was, I met a man who told me he had seen it too, while he was lying by a campfire 500 miles away. He said he did not sleep again that night. Suddenly, it seemed that we two spoke a language no one could understand. Every August in my life, I think of that. And that's when I start to plan my New Year's celebration. I finally choose a day that is exactly right. Even the air has to be perfect, and the dirt has to feel good and warm on bare feet. Usually, it's a Saturday around the end of April. I have a drum that I beat to signal the day. Then I go wandering off, following all of my favorite trails to all the places I like. I check how everything is going. I spend the day admiring things. If the old desert tortoise I know from last year is out strolling around, I'll go his direction a while. I celebrate with horned toads and ravens and lizards and quail. And friend, it's not a bad party. Walking back home, kind of humming, sometimes I think about those people who ask me if I'm lonely here. I have to laugh out loud. I hope that you enjoyed that story. It's one of my favorites, and it just reminds me of the simplicity of things. You know, the holidays can be hard on a lot of people, and it's maybe not the happiest time, but you can find joy in any moment that you choose. An event is only significant and only has meaning if you give it meaning. So I hope that you choose to live your life fully. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. This doesn't mean to live in fear, but it means to live more fully. And I hope that this story helps you to live more fully and celebrate everything. May you be free, may you find peace, and may you have grace and courage.